Well, good morning, folks. We have another pre-PT success story, and we're super excited to have Rachel on with us today. Rachel, thank you for taking the time to come on and to share your journey, and some of your perspectives to help other pre-PTs. So go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your pre-PT journey.
Awesome. Well, hello, my name is Rachel. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. Growing up, I did not think about physical therapy as a profession that I would be interested in. But I went on a mission trip with my church to Nicaragua, and we worked with a group called Tesoros de Dios, where we helped kids who have disabilities through various forms of therapy. So we did equine therapy with horses, we did aquatic therapy, and we did all types of other physical therapy variants. And that was really the turning point for me, where I decided that physical therapy was something that I wanted to pursue. I knew that I wanted to help others, and I knew that through physical therapy, I could use my passion and my faith to help others. And yeah, kind of bring it all together. So I go to Ohio State now, and I applied to a bunch of schools in Ohio. And then I also applied to Duke University in North Carolina. In the end, I ended up getting accepted to all the schools that I applied to, but I decided to go with Duke. So I'll be attending Duke in August.
Woo-hoo, Rachel, that's awesome. So we've had a couple people get close, but I think you're the first person who got in everywhere. So that's awesome. Good for you. You put in all the hard work and the effort, and then it also sounds like you really found schools that matched your profile as an applicant, and what you were looking for. So talk a little bit about that. What, besides obviously Ohio schools, what factored into some of the programs you decided to apply to?
So a few things that factored in were financial needs, of course. Just wanted to make sure I had schools that were um, had a good support system when it comes to finances, because physical therapy school is obviously expensive. So it's definitely something you want to have a good support system with. So I looked into that. I also really just wanted to find a program that valued service, and because that's what my main mission is, really just to serve others. So I was looking for schools that had service-oriented clubs or organizations, or kind of requirements, I guess, of the PT students to do something in the community and serve. And so a lot of the schools that I looked at had all of those opportunities.
Very cool. Very cool. So a little bit of the practical side, a little bit more of the community side. That's great. That's great. Um, so talk a little bit more about what you would like to do with physical therapy in terms of service and giving back to other people once you go on, finish your degree. Do you have any thoughts or ideas about what you'd like to do or continue to do?
Absolutely. So I would love to start my own organization to help children with disabilities, or people of all ages with disabilities. My goal is to really be able to provide for those who don't have either the insurance or the financial resources to be able to go to physical therapy. And so to be able to provide and give back to those people who couldn't afford it on a typical basis. So I would love to also go into communities that speak Spanish and be able to practice with using my Spanish, because I think it's super important to be able to communicate with your patients on a level that's personal to them using their language. So using my knowledge of Spanish, as well as the information that I gather in physical therapy school, to hopefully be able to provide the best care for those people who may not receive that, and hopefully be able to go into third world countries and be able to provide some information that I learned, and hopefully help the physical therapists there learn some more of the new techniques that I've learned in school, and help them to provide care there to their patients.
Wow. Wow. That sounds great. And you're going to be busy.
Yes.
Very, very good though. But that's really neat that you got a taste of it, of what you could do with it, and the opportunities that gives people who, like you said, may have no other option to get treatment. And what a special opportunity. So did you go about learning Spanish? Was that completely on your own? Or did you already have that idea that you're like, yeah, I want to work with Spanish speakers?
So I started taking Spanish in eighth grade, I believe. So I just took it all the way through high school, and I fell in love with the language, even just in my normal courses in high school and in eighth grade. And then when I went on my service trip to Nicaragua in high school, is my first time I went, my senior year, I became kind of an impromptu translator because nobody else on my team really knew any Spanish. So that was really, I think that was the first moment where I realized I can actually make a difference, and I can communicate more with these patients by knowing this language. And I really saw the connection that I made with the people in Nicaragua specifically because I could speak to them in their own language. It made them feel more comfortable, and it was definitely easier to communicate with them. So I think that that was kind of the turning point where I realized, okay, Spanish is something that I want to become fluent in, and be able to just work with populations who speak Spanish.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So it just kind of happened. It was an
Mhm.
opportunity that came your way, and then you saw what you could do with it. So I think,
Yeah.
so I also took a few years of Spanish in middle school and high school, and I wish I would have done more in college to continue with it, because the little that I still remember, I can still use when I work with Spanish speakers. But it does make a huge difference when you, like, when you can at least carry on a decent medical conversation with someone in a
Absolutely.
professional manner. So I advocate for everybody, like, take Rachel's example, at least get some working knowledge of medical Spanish. And if you are in the field or you're moving into it, there's always things that you can do, classes you can take to learn more medical Spanish. So that's something for me on
Absolutely.
my to-do list. Yeah, good
Yes.
job. So let's talk about one of the other things that we've shared in our conversations is being someone who has religious beliefs and going into graduate school or just academia in general, where there is kind of this vibe that diminishes some of those beliefs. So first, I'd like you just to share some of your thoughts or feelings about how to navigate being, a young person who's trying to better themselves through education while still maintaining your values and your faith.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say definitely just stay true to yourself. It's easy to get caught up in kind of a lot of the worldly things of that may not really line up with your beliefs, whatever your beliefs are. And I was actively seeking a faith-based community throughout my college career. So I went to different churches in Columbus, and I went to a bunch of organizations on campus that were faith-based. And so I really actively sought out being a part of a faith-based community. And I think that that's really, you have to take those steps um, to be in that community, because yeah, it can be definitely hard to find faith-based communities and stay true to your values, but actively seeking those out and not being afraid to put yourself out there and find different people. And it may take a couple faith-based communities to jump around to find out the one that suits you best. And I'm a senior and I've finally found my group, but it took 4 years, right, to figure out
Yeah,
who is whose values aligned with you, even if say you go to a bunch of Christian organizations, but they're all a little bit different. And
right.
so just stay persistent and stay true to who you are, and just seek out the people. And I think God will put, or whoever you believe in, or whatever spirit you believe in, will just make sure that you're taken care of. And yeah.
Awesome. I think that's very well put. I think it is oftentimes when we go to school, there's so much that's like thrown up in the air. Um, and if you stay close to home for undergrad, that's oftentimes a little bit easier because you're somewhat familiar with the area. But then stepping into graduate school where there is this major time constraint, where sometimes those religious values that you've built up for years can get put off to the side because you feel like you need to devote more time to school or studying and things like that. And for me, it was always, you have to start with those what's it called, non-negotiable priorities, right? Like,
Mhm.
how can I use my time in a way that is going to continue to fill my cup, and they can't touch that. So that's like, your personal spirituality time with family, time with friends, that you just need as a social being. and
Right.
as a spiritual being, right?
Absolutely.
And I think, like you said, sometimes it's a process and people can get frustrated because right off the bat, they don't find that group that they connect with. But I feel like for anyone who's religious, faith, you can't just give up, right? You have to keep working at it. And God will continue to guide you, or like you said, whoever you believe in. But for us, it's God.
Exactly.
And I
Right.
don't think, there's this culture that we can't speak freely about these things. I'm not going to push my religion on anybody or what I believe. You and I believe different things within Christianity.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think fostering an environment where people who have beliefs can feel comfortable sharing them. And I think it is such an identifying thing in the human family that most people have some type of higher power they look to or believe in. And even if they don't, in moments of crisis, sometimes that's a possibility for individuals. And I think it's really great that you've found other young people who are willing to do that, and you'll continue to do that as you go to Duke and go to on in your profession, your career. Any other thoughts you'd like to share about that?
Um, yeah, I would just say continue to be open, because when you were saying that, that kind of sparked a little memory into my mind. But I joined this group called Alpha, which I think they started out in Britain. And so it's basically this church or this organization, and they film these videos that just spark conversation pertaining to the Bible, religion, um, all sorts of things like that. And so, but at Ohio State, we had a group called Alpha, and instead of just welcoming only Christians or only Methodists or only Catholics or, specific groups, we welcomed all people who were of faith, people who weren't of faith, everyone in between. And really our goal was to just spark conversation pertaining to faith and religion and, questions. And I think that even things like that may seem, oh, this isn't just my religion. Like, I think those are good too, because then you get other ideas and perspectives, and you can show that you can learn from people even if they aren't of the same faith as you. And I think that that's also very important, just to be open-minded and just know that you can learn something from every situation, and your faith can grow stronger through that.
For sure. No, I think that's perfect, especially in this day and age when you're working with people from so many different walks of life,
Absolutely.
and just being able to be comfortable with interacting with individuals who are different than you. Because
Mhm.
we do have our bubble, we are insulated, and then you go out as a professional and you have no idea who's coming in to see you, um,
Right.
and what goes into that, and just having that sensitivity to be respectful of them while at the same time not diminishing what you believe in and what you hold true.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes as a society, we've kind of, in our attempts to be very respectful of people who believe differently, we feel like we have to be quiet about what we believe. And I don't think that was what free speech is about. I don't think that's what freedom of religion is about. It's about being able to express those ideas in a civil and polite manner,
Mhm.
but to talk and to have conversations about these big issues that we face as a society. And even if whatever power you believe in or don't believe in, we have issues as a society, and for a lot of people, religion helps them sort through those things. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think it's important that you have organizations like Alpha that
Mhm.
can foster that, instead of just saying put people in silos and create contention between people because you think differently.
Exactly. Right.
Cool. Well, thank you for speaking to that and being someone who's open to that and encouraging other people. It's okay. It's a good thing to go out. And I really admire you for all the efforts that you've done. I think I went to Brigham Young University, which is predominantly members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so it was very easy to talk about church because that's like a
Right.
part of going to that school.
Right.
But going to Ohio State, where it's not necessarily like a religious university, but you're
Mhm.
still seeking that out, I think that's super valuable. So props to you for that.
Thank you.
Um, so let's talk about your interaction with physical therapy application coach. How did you find me, and what was your experience overall?
Honestly, I don't remember how I found you. I think I found you on YouTube, would be my guess.
I think
And it was
so.
so long ago. And also, I feel like when the applications hit, your mind is so foggy with everything you have to do. But yeah, so I think I found you through YouTube, and I did some research, and I looked around. I was like, okay, is he the only guy who does this? Are there other people? And every time I kept going back to your website, and it just seemed like a lot of people had very good reviews and good testimonies pertaining to how you help them. So yeah, so that's how I kind of figured out. I was like, okay, you know what? And it was funny. I think I watched one of your videos, and you said, you're like, you know what? You want to make the investment now and pay, this much now, and hopefully help get in. Or if you don't pay and you don't get in, like, will if you use my services, like, will it eventually have helped you get in or whatnot? So I was like, you know what? He's right. I'm making an investment in myself now because hopefully in the future it'll, set me in the right path. And so that's what really I was like, okay, I'll do it. Cause I'm sure a lot of the other PT applicants know that finances during this time are a little challenging. And so it's kind of hard to spend some extra money where you're like, oh, do I need this or do I not? But I definitely think it was extremely helpful. My essays, it was funny. I was looking through my first essay, and then I compared it to my final personal statement essay. And I was like, whoa, I was like, this is a big change. So I definitely think it was very beneficial to my personal statement and helped capture who I was a little bit better, because writing isn't necessarily my, I want to say like it's not my talent. I'm not the best writer in the world. So you always need a little bit of help, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to make mistakes and not be perfect. And I remember being nervous going on the first Zoom call to talk about my essay and things like that. And I was like, oh gosh, what if it's not good enough? But you know what? It's okay. I came as who I was, and it ended up helping me in the end. So I definitely recommend this service.
Awesome. Awesome. And do you think, because we also did interviews as well, how do you think that preparation just helped you? A lot of it, I remember when you came in for your first mock interview, you had done so much to prepare that it was just a piece of cake at that point. But how do you feel like going through that process of preparing for that mock interview? How do you feel like that got you ready?
I think it got me ready. Yeah, I definitely think it got me ready, and it helped me a lot too, because so I actually had my first interview with Duke. Duke provides 2 interviews. I had my first one on a Monday, and then I had my mock interview with you on a Wednesday, and then I had a group interview with Duke on Friday. So I was kind of sandwiched in between 2 of my most important interviews, I guess, in my mind at that point. And so it was very beneficial because we were able to go over more questions that were pertaining that I would probably hear in a group interview, which I think was very helpful, that we could kind of cater it towards what I was about to be doing in my actual interview. And I also think it was the tips that you provided me were very helpful in the sense that I kind of like how you had told me, don't show me, don't tell me. And so that was really beneficial. And it's easy to kind of forget that in some of the questions when they hit you in an interview. And I think that constant reminder really helped me prepare to just, have all my stories written out and have a little note on the side of keywords that I could look at, glance at during my interview to just spark a couple stories during question time. And I think that all that preparation through the services you provided, like leading up to the interview as well as the mock interview itself, was just beneficial to help me talk it out, and instead of just talking to myself or to a friend, it was more of a professional setting, which was awesome. So I think it was extremely beneficial.
Well, great. Thank you. Thanks for speaking to all that. And I think you can look back now and say, Rachel, that investment, it was worth it, right?
Absolutely.
It definitely, you had options to where to go. You get to pick and choose, and now you go forward and your future's secure.
Right.
So there's a lot of different people that can help coach you. There's people who have different styles that fit different individuals. I'm glad that we were able to work together and to have this connection. I'm privileged to have you as a friend and then someone to interact with and to inspire me in different ways as well. And I'm excited to see what the future has in store for you. We'll have to stay in touch and keep tabs on each other.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks, Rachel. Best of luck with everything. Let us know if you need anything else. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.